From the Stereo Sound Records Studios, your home for the best in unsigned and indie punk, rock, and metal. This is The Mosh Pit with your host, Wes Everett.
Welcome to The Mosh Pit. I'm your host, Wes Everett, and I've got a special guest with me today, Mr. Jamey Stegmaier of Scythe and many other board games that you might know of. Jamey, why don't you tell everybody, kind of give them a backstory about who you are, what you do, and a couple of your games.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Wes. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Like you said, I'm a game designer. I'm also a game publisher. I help to run Stegmaier Games, and also a little bit of a content creator. I make some videos about game design and write blog posts about entrepreneurship and crowdfunding. But my game design, you mentioned Scythe. That was maybe the third game I designed and published. Viticulture came first, then Euphoria. Since then, I've also designed Charterstone, Red Rising, Expeditions, the sequel to Scythe, and probably something I'm forgetting in there as well. But I do a little bit of a couple different things there, and I'm excited to talk about Scythe and anything you want to talk about today.
Very cool. Now, were you a part of Wingspan? I know it was under your brand. Were you designer on that one?
I was a developer. So yeah, we do have about half of our games are games designed by other people that I serve as the lead developer for. So I'm there to help make them as balanced and fun as possible, but I am not the lead designer for those games. And Wingspan, designed by Elizabeth Hargrave, was one of them.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, I was just curious because that one's also in my collection. Really fun game. So
nice. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Absolutely. So getting back to Scythe, that was really one of the main ones that I reached out to you on because picked it up not long ago. I really like the description, how it's like an anti-war game. It's basically a bluffing game where you really don't want to go to war unless you have to.
That's right.
Kind of walk us through that. What was the development like coming up with that whole idea?
Well, it started out where I saw some artwork from Jakub Brozalski. He was starting to build this alternate universe 1920 plus world where instead of tanks in Eastern Europe, there were mechs. And a lot of his art showed and still shows what happens after a war, where these mechs are no longer really needed for combat. They're just, part of the landscape. And that really captured me. I was like, I love the look of this. I want to explore more. So I reached out to him to see if he'd be interested in me designing a tabletop game in that world, and he was interested. And so we worked together for the next year, me as the designer, him as the world builder, me influencing the world a little bit, him influencing the game design a little bit. And we ended up with Scythe. And like you said, it is a post-war game, but combat is still possible. The mechs are still operational, and so there are still tensions around these mechanisms of war that are still there in the landscape.
Right. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, it's not a war game. It can be. It's just it's more of a strategic style. We don't go to war unless we absolutely have to, or if I just want to be a jerk and get you off my board.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the tensions are there, and combat does sometimes happen, but I'm sure there are some games of Scythe where no combat happens. Probably unlikely, but oftentimes it's like you do one or two combats, and you're not getting any credit after those first two in terms of the game's reward system, and so people often stop fighting after that.
If I could turn back the time. I can feel you, but only in my dreams. I can hear you, as crazy as it seems. When my heart is on the run and I look to the sun, are you there for me? Is the ghost of you there to get me through? Are you in the air I breathe? It's hard to believe that you're so far away. I'm holding my breath, but I'm fading away. And all that I can replay it from the start until the end. I try to shake it, but it seems I've yet to mend. When my heart is on the run and I look to the sun, are you there for me? Is the ghost of you there to get me through? Are you in the air I breathe? It's hard to believe that you're so far away. I'm holding my breath but I'm fading away. And all that I give for a moment today, I wanna believe you're not so far away. You're so far away. Oh, I can't let you go. Oh no. It's hard to believe that you're so far away. If I could turn back the time, you're all that I give for a moment today. I wanna believe you're not so far away. Yeah. If I could turn back the time, you're so far away. Yeah. If I could turn back the time.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a really cool concept. I mean, just the whole idea of it. It kind of leads me back to what was it, Diplomacy,
Yes, yeah.
where that one definitely a war game, but there's also a lot of strategy of, listen, we can partner in this. We don't have to fight each other.
Right, exactly. Or we could just stick to our part of the map. And then, but that's I can't say that I can't give myself credit for designing around this because it kind of just happens. But I find it interesting that players could really just stick to their part of the map. But
Mhm.
then you want a little bit more. You're like, oh, I don't have access to this resource. I'll reach out. I'll go a little bit farther out there. And then you'll go a little bit farther. And suddenly all the other players are like, oh, well, if you're going to go out there, well, I'm going to go out there too. So I like how that evolves organically in each play of the game. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a step in the opposite direction, I'll say, as opposed to Risk, where Risk
Yes.
is like, look, we're going to war. I don't care that you don't want to fight.
Right. This is happening.
Yeah, this is happening.
Yeah.
Be prepared or not.
Have you played Kemet by any chance?
Damn it. I don't think I have.
That was one of the inspirations, at least for the combat system in Scythe. But Kemet is a game like Risk where it is built around fighting. Like you cannot avoid it. It
Mhm.
doesn't ever feel like you're picking on someone because everyone's picking on everyone else in the game of Kemet. But if people ever play Scythe and like, oh, I just wanted to fight. I wish I could just play a game to fight. I always recommend Kemet because it has good engine building style mechanisms, but it's completely geared around combat.
Oh, very cool. I'll definitely look that one up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you said so Expeditions hasn't been out long, right? And it's kind of,
Expeditions came out around this time last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Spring of 2023.
and it's the basically spiritual successor sequel to Scythe.
That's right. Yeah.
What all did you change as far as elements go? Because I've seen gameplay videos and it looks really cool. It's definitely on my list to grab. Walk us through that one. What was it like putting that one together?
Well, yeah. So we kind of wrapped up Scythe in, I think it was 2018, maybe, that the Rise of Fenris came out, the third expansion, and we knew that was the end of the Scythe story. We did a few little things since then, like the modular board, but nothing thematically different than the core game and the three expansions. And so after giving it some time, I started to want to do something else in that world, but I didn't want to just remake Scythe because Scythe is, for the most part, kind of withstood the test of time. Like there's some asymmetric elements that are a little bit in the hands of experienced players, there are certain factions that are a little bit more powerful than others when they're paired with certain mats, things like that. But for the most part, the game works great. I didn't feel like it needed a new edition or the same game with new mechanisms. And so I tried to design something else, and it was a pretty big challenge because I wanted a game that felt like Scythe, but wasn't Scythe. And so a lot of the mechanisms and expeditions are engine building. They're rewarding things. Like inside, a lot of times when you take a turn, you're getting at least 2 benefits. You're getting 2 good things on every turn. So I try to bake that into expeditions as well. But it happens in a different part of the world and with a little bit of a more supernatural element to it than Scythe. So it leans into the mechs, but also the supernatural element. I'm very curious to hear if you get the chance to play it. People, I think, people are a little bit mixed on it, especially people who really love Scythe. But I really was trying to think of people who love Scythe when I designed it.
Very cool. Yeah, it's like I said, it's definitely on my short list of games that I will probably grab before the end of this year. It really appeals to me, the whole mechs, the war, the all that style. You know, you build your hand, you say, okay, let's go this way. Just always been one of those things. Speaking of, what are your, let's say, top 5 favorite board games?
Top 5. So I do a list twice a year where I ask myself that question. I did one a few months ago. I can't remember exactly what's on the list, but a few that consistently make it near the top are Dune Imperium, Arc Nova, and I don't make Stegmaier games eligible for this list when I make it, so they won't be eligible here either.
Gotcha.
Fantasy Realms, a much lighter game, has shown up there a bunch of times. I really like the Star Wars deck building game. Really, really enjoyed that. And Earth, one of the more recent ones that I've really, really enjoyed, Earth. So those are, I don't know if I named 5 there, but those are 4 or 5 games that I've really enjoyed. Have you done a list like that recently where you've looked at your favorites as of right now? Or
I have. I was actually thinking about that the other day because I was going through, I just got me a new board game shelf and kind of organizing things basically in the how often played to least often played, but still managed to get to the table. And I love your list, number 1. I'm definitely going to include Dune Imperium on there. I really want to get the sequel to it, but I can't really pull the trigger since I really just got Dune Imperium before Christmas. So, grabbing the second edition.
Yeah. Did you get the original or the Dune Imperium Uprising, the sequel? Yeah.
No, that's the one I'm waiting to get, but I do have Dune Uprising.
I see. Yes. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Got it.
I'm definitely gonna put Scythe on that list. Risk, probably the new one, the 2210, where you could colonize Mars.
Yeah, I've heard interesting things about that one.
That one's good, and they're actually, I can't remember who's doing it. I think it's Renegade Games. They're actually bringing it back. They're re-releasing it because it went out of print a few years back.
That's cool. I wonder what they'll do with it. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm hoping it's not just a copy and paste though. Maybe they'll add some new stuff, but who knows? Yeah,
we'll see. I think when they did they did a Castles of Burgundy reprint a few years ago, or they called it a new edition, and it didn't really change much. Like a lot of the things that I think they needed to change that they didn't. So hopefully they do revisit it and do a little deeper dive into updating it.
That'd be cool. That would definitely be cool. And that's another game that I haven't had a chance. I've played it, but I hadn't had a chance to get in my collection. So that one's definitely on the list. I'm a big Mysterium fan. I don't know if you played it.
I love Mysterium Park. I do like the original too, but Mysterium Park gets to the table a lot more often. Have you played that one?
I do. It's also in the collection.
Nice. I love that big screen, how dramatic that thing is, but it's so much easier to set up Mysterium Park.
It is. It really is. But I like breaking out the big one for Halloween time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And what was the other one I was going to mention? Mysterium Park. Oh, Betrayal on House of the Hill.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're in the middle of the Legacy campaign for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How is it?
That's a fun one. It's neat. It's really neat. Yeah. I had not actually played the original game, so I had no context for it other than hearing about it. But they do some spooky, creepy things with a Legacy version.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's That's really neat. I like a lot of those legacy games that they've dropped, like Pandemic. Have you played it?
Mhm. I have. Yeah. Is
Is
that
it?
is that your favorite legacy
it
game?
it's up there, but it's I really like the original Pandemic, to be honest with you. Just
Yeah,
the across the board.
it
Yeah,
holds up well. Yeah,
it
I agree.
does. And I've heard they redid Betrayal. They released a new edition. They changed a lot of like core rules that have a lot of people
Oh,
kind of upset.
really interesting.
Yeah, that is like was it the third edition, I think? Because I think I
Okay.
got the second edition. And the third, they kind of they mix a couple of rules where they tried to streamline it, and people are like, no.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, so that's when I built my studio down here in our basement, it was just gonna be podcasting, like that's all it was gonna be, podcasting spot for bands to play. And
Uh-huh.
then I ended up getting some couple of board games and started looking at board game tables. I don't know if you've priced one of those things recently.
I haven't, not recently. No, I have an older. I have a board game table, but it's an older one from Board Game Table. I guess they're called All Play now, but it was boardgametables.com, one of their
Yeah.
cheaper ones. Have you? So yeah, what are you looking at?
So I actually built my own.
You did? Oh, awesome.
I took some refabbed wood that we had from another project. The only piece that I actually had to buy was the tabletop itself. I got me one of the square restaurant tables.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, I did a 3-tier. So I've got the table on top. I've got a overlay where I can do a game on top and then move it. And then you've got the actual underneath
Nice.
and put a shelf on it and put casters on it. So it's not just like in the middle of the floor. I can get it out of the way. It's amazing.
That's really clever. That's awesome. Yeah, it's impressive that you built it too. That takes a lot of skill.
It's it was me and my girl, we got to looking at it and was like, we could do this. And we
Yeah.
just one Friday night after I got off work, we grabbed some parts and put her together.
Oh,
I've,
that's incredible. Yeah.
I'll send you pictures of it. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, other than that, have you played Terraforming Mars?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I have played it. I need to revisit it, but it's been a long time. Yeah. Have you played that recently?
I have. I actually have the Ares expedition.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a little smaller, a little more compact. It's, a lot easier to get to the table than the big board.
Yeah. And that's nice because it involves every player in every turn. And there's hardly ever any downtime in the Ares Expedition version.
Right. That's something I noticed. There's not as much of that. Wait, okay, what's he gonna do?
Exactly. Right.
Drip, drip, dripping of your sweat. The beads are rolling down your neck. The pound, pound, pounding of your heart. This was over from the start. Nobody said you'd be okay. My heavy heart's the price I pay. Nobody said you'd be okay. I shut it down so you fade away. The drip, drip, dripping of your blood, and now the stains are on the rug. And no more pounding of your heart. This was over from the start. Nobody said you'd be okay. My heavy heart's the price I pay. Nobody said you'd be okay. I shut it down so you fade away. Nobody said you'd be okay. My heavy heart's the
So what else? What else do you have going on? What's on the game plan for you as far as next game development, designing? What you got?
Well, in terms of like designing and publishing, I'm working on a big cooperative open world game called Vantage that I very recently announced. It's in kind of the final stages of play testing right now. So we're kind of wrapping up that. That's been a 7-year long project that I've been really excited to talk about. But it's just a very, very big game. And in terms of gameplay, there's a convention in St. Louis called Geekway to the West that I'm attending next week. So it's like May 16th, 17th, 18th. So from a game, just playing a bunch of games perspective, I am really excited to go there and just play a bunch of games with people who attend the convention.
Dude, that's
Do you attend
awesome.
any conventions?
I don't. I usually my schedule is so out of whack that I don't get a chance to actually go anywhere other than for work. Like I'm on
Mhm.
vacation this week, which was one reason I was super flexible when you said, "Hey,
Yeah.
can you move the date, move the time." I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And so as soon as I come off vacation, I'm headed to Louisiana for like 3 to 5
Okay.
days. So
Cool.
yeah,
Oh, for work though.
for work, yeah, not
Okay.
not for fun,
Yeah.
no.
Uh,
But yeah, I'm hoping to catch up with a couple of friends down there. They're board gamers. I may take one with me and be like, "Hey, let's I'm gonna fire this ATM up, and then I'm gonna swing by there and kick your butt in Mysterium." Oh, but yeah, so I've caught your YouTube channel a couple times. I really enjoy, your insights to games.
No, thanks.
When did you start it? What was the plan behind it?
Yeah, there wasn't much of a plan. I think it was back in like 2014 that I'd been writing my company blog for a while, which is not it delves into games a little bit, but it's not about game design. It's about
Mhm.
running a business and mistakes that I've made about running a business and how hopefully people can learn from those mistakes, that sort of thing. But I like talking about games. I like talking about game design, and so I wanted an outlet for that. And so I pretty much just turned on a camera and started talking about a game. I think I just played Robinson Crusoe and I was really impressed by a certain mechanism in it. So I talked about that mechanism on a video. And then I just kept on going. And I did realize at the time that I didn't want to criticize. I really appreciate reviewers in the industry who share their opinions about games. And I do that a little bit, but these are my peers, they're fellow designers. And people that I might potentially work with too. So I didn't want to spend 10 minutes on a video talking about how someone had messed up their game. I wanted to find like my favorite thing about that game. And that's why I do these videos about my favorite game mechanism. And I really enjoyed that. I kind of got lucky that early on I stumbled upon the way that I like to talk about games publicly, and it's worked out. So ever since, I've done 2 videos a week, every week, about my favorite mechanism in a game that I've played. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And I love that. I love that you're pointing out the positives and not the negatives, because I feel like a lot of reviewers like to point out that whole negative aspect of certain games.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
Yeah.
that's one feature. If you house rules it, you can probably get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's rush hour. Oh, let's make it stank for a little second, I see rush hour. Baby, it's rush hour.
I know you're right there, waiting for me, boy. Better beware, I'll play you like a brand new toy. Can't keep this slow, but a speed unknown. I'm about to blow, now I'm time to roll. Folks, I'm aware, you're crossing the way. Move like a highway, get home right away. These folks, I'm aware, I'm crossing the way. This is just the way, I wanna be home right away. To rush hour. Gonna give it to you, boy. Oh, it's the rush hour. Rush hour.
It's rush hour. Rush hour. Rush hour. It's rush
My life lasted from my birth till the day he left the planet Earth. Residing in his space and he was leaving me behind. It's not exactly what I had in mind. What I had in mind. Well, it could be me and him and I. Spun a galaxy far away. Everywhere we go, we'll be the first and never coming back to the planet Earth, alright? This world's not big enough to contain him. And besides, I'm always bringing him down. If I ever lose my way, he'll still be in the UA. If I ever get the guts to leave the ground, he will be around. Well, it could be me and him and I. Spun a galaxy far away. Everywhere we go, we'll be the first and never coming back to the planet Earth, alright? He's in the stars. Yeah, we're going to fly. I'm leaving now. I will be there when your ship touches ground. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! He's in the stars. God is going to fly. I'm leaving now. And I will be there when your ship touches ground. I will be there when your ship touches ground. I will be there when your ship touches ground.
What would you say
Yeah.
favorite mechanism in general of any board game? Like, what is one that stands out to you that you're just like, you know what, I wish this one could be incorporated to more games?
Well, I actually don't know if my first answer will also be the answer to that second question, but
Okay.
the mechanism that I most often get the most excited about is probably worker placement. Up there, pretty close to it, is deck building. I really do enjoy deck building too.
Mhm.
But worker placement, if I see a game as worker placement, I'm at least intrigued. I want to learn more. I want to see if they did something different with it, because I know there are a lot of games that have worker placement at this point.
Yeah.
But because of that, a lot of games have worker placement. I don't know if that would be the answer to your second question about that I want more games to have it. There are probably some other, like I love tug of war mechanisms in games, and it provides a really nice source of tension. And so that's something that I would love to see in more games.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That is
Do you
interesting.
have a mechanism where, like, if you just hear that it's in a game that you're intrigued, at the very least, you want to know a little bit more about it?
I think the deck building is a good one.
Yeah.
And like you said, yeah, worker placement's good. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that question. What would you say is your least?
So a mechanism that just doesn't ever appeal to me, or doesn't. So I don't, even though I do like, I mentioned Kemet earlier. I really enjoy Kemet. I actually do, and I have many fond memories from playing Risk as a kid, and I probably would enjoy it if I got it out to the table. It isn't the game that I play a lot, but for the most part, and so neither of those games I would say are they have combat, but they're not tactical combat games. Tactical combat games like on a grid or a hex grid, that I don't get excited about them. Even if they're really well done, like a Gloomhaven, I think is a really well done game with tactical combat, you against the game. But it isn't a mechanism that I want to play over and over again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's just me. I get that there are a lot of people who really enjoy that mechanism, but maybe not me. Yeah.
No, I get that. Speaking of like worker placement, have you seen Hedge Money?
I have played most of a game of Hegemony, or Hegemony, however you say it.
Yeah. We're from the
south. But it's a long game if you
play.
play the whole thing. I think I played like 3 hours of it, and we called it short.
Oh,
but,
wow.
Yeah, it can be. I think it's normally just a 4 or 5 hour game.
Just straight up, yeah.
Just straight up, yep. Are you intrigued by it?
I am. I have actually looked at it a couple of times. It's another one of those that I know how long it is. I know that my gaming crew does not have that attention span.
Yeah.
So that would be one that, we'd leave up for 2 weeks before we got back to it and forget everything that we'd already done. So yeah, that's why I was curious if you had played that one, if you liked that one, if you got the feel for it.
Yeah. That it's an interesting one.
Very cool. So I don't want to just, pick your brain on board games. I know that's what you do. And I have to say this, when I first originally approached you for the interview and you were like, no, I don't do weekends. I absolutely commend you on those boundaries.
Oh, thank you.
Wish I could set those because I get it. I get it that you do this. This is your 9 to 5. So your weekends, you don't want to talk about board games.
I do. I do work on the weekends, but it's usually more on the creative side of things. And I like not having to schedule anything then, because then I can just, if I'm feeling chill, I can just chill. If I want to work, I can. But I did find that something about I love having chats like this during the day on like you said, the 9 to 5. That is the best time for me to do that. And then I can use nights and weekends for more creative stuff and more flexibility.
Absolutely. And again, I thank you for sitting in on this because honestly, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking to you, learning more about what you got going on.
Well, thanks, Wes. Yeah. Same to you.
Well, thank you. So when you're designing, when you're alone, you're coming up with creative ideas, what music are you listening to? What puts you in that mindset?
Well, I rarely listen to music, but every now and then mostly I work in silence. But if something else is going on in the house, like if Megan's working out somewhere in the house and there's music on somewhere else and I need to block it out, I usually pick music that is themed around the game that I'm working on. So like the big open world game, it's heavily inspired by Zelda Breath of the Wild. And so I would turn on some music from that game or from games that are music that kind of has a similar vibe to the music in that game, and just play that while I'm working on it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
some people so it's a kind of foreign concept to me because we don't turn music on at our game nights. Do you ever have music on at your game nights to set the tone or the theme?
We do every now and then, like if it works, because there are some that you can't have that distraction of.
Yeah.
Like I know there's a couple, I think I don't remember what game it is now, but one of them actually has a soundtrack that you can play as it. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. I don't know that I would, but it's kind of neat.
And
what is that? Alice is Missing. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I've heard about it. That has a soundtrack?
It does. It's there's a YouTube companion that you can play and it counts down because you're supposed to play certain cards at certain times. It's a silent role-playing game that basically you text each other. You don't talk. You just text each other what clues you find in your hand.
That's right. That's the text game. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. That one is one that me and a couple of friends were looking at trying to do that one on a bigger scale. Like not actually be in the same room. Like somebody be at the park or somebody be at, the Dairy Queen or something, and texting and doing the whole storyline. I think that'd be fun.
We're so lost inside the electrical. We built a gun of silicone and gold. Forget the ways of life that we used to know. Let go, give the system control. Take company that is coming. All hell, the digital DNA. You can run, but there's no place left to hide. Hell, digital DNA. We look up into synthetic skies. We get the wall pulled over our eyes. We let this in and welcomed our own demise. Here we go.
I'll take control.
Take company that is coming. All hell, the digital DNA. You can run, but there's no place left to hide. Hell, digital DNA.
Welcome to the new world. New world.
Take company that is coming. All hell, the digital DNA. You can run, but there's no place left to hide. Hell, digital DNA. Take company that is coming. All hell, the digital DNA. You can run, but there's no place left to hide. Hell, digital DNA. Hell, digital DNA. Hell, digital DNA.
We're just trying to figure out how to do it because somebody's going to have to be here to be the timekeeper of, hey, it's time to play this next card.
Right.
So, I don't know.
A friend played that and had a really, really good experience with it, but I can't remember the specifics of how they coordinated it, like you said there. But whatever they did, he said it was a really memorable game.
Very cool. I know they have like a Discord companion where you can play with everybody. I think you can play AI that way, but I don't. I didn't jump on that one. So yeah. Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to plug before I let you run away? I know you got a busy day going on.
Well, around the time that this will air, I think is we'll be announcing, and I've already announced it, but I haven't told people details about it. But we have the first expansion to Expeditions. We mentioned that, and we mentioned this World of Scythe earlier. So that will be revealed in just a few weeks now. So late May is when we're going to reveal what's in that expansion. So I'm excited to share that when that time comes.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Is there any clues you can give us that, won't give anything away, but will intrigue folks in case this
Sure,
airs
yeah.
before?
What clue can I give? So people had an expedition, in Scythe, when you move around the map, there's certain locations that have encounters on them, encounter tokens that you pick up and you look at a card and it gives you an encounter.
Mhm.
I implemented that differently in Expeditions, but people kept asking, but there are these like these little map tokens that look a little bit like the encounter tokens. And whenever you explore a new location, you gain the little map token and you flip over the tile to reveal what's there. And people kept saying in the first in the core game that they wished those little map tokens did something else. And so the hint that I'll give is that in the expansion, we do something else with those map tokens. We have a whole new set of those map tokens that do something else for the expansion. So I'm excited to see what people think about that concept.
Ooh, that does sound cool. I can't wait to hear what it is, and I'll definitely be on the lookout for it. We'll plug it too. We'll plug everything that you guys have going on, the new expansion and all that.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And here's one last one for you. How do you
Yeah.
feel about sleeving games?
I am not a sleever myself, and I think that's partially because I'm a publisher. I see so much cardboard every day in samples of games and whatnot. Like it's all, even though I love my games, I treasure them. They are just cardboard to me. However, I completely understand people who do sleeve their games, and to me, I don't mind a game being ragged, and that's still, I love that. But yeah, I do like. I would say the one time that I do like to sleeve is in deck building games when you have to shuffle a lot because it's just easier to shuffle cards when they're sleeved.
Yeah.
What's your preference? Do you sleeve a lot of games or some specific games?
I sleeve a lot. I sleeve
Sleeve a lot,
honestly,
yeah.
I can say most, but I've found I'm not using the expensive sleeves. I'm not paying
Mhm.
$15 for 100 pack of sleeves.
Right.
I
right.
found Amazon has a great deal on sleeves, and they're literally like less than 10 cents a piece. You can get 1,000
nice.
for $10. I mean,
Nice.
hey, you can't go wrong with that, right?
Is
But
it the specific thickness? I've heard that sleevers have like preferences as to how like thick it is, or is it just do you like that cost and so you go for it?
I like the cost and I like the style.
Okay.
They're not thick. They're pretty. I mean, they're not thin, but they're easy to shuffle. They're easy to handle. The glare is
Mhm.
also not bad on them. So
Okay.
again, not sponsored, not plugged, just my preference.
Okay. Nice.
But yeah, I like sleeving just because a lot of the games I have, the artwork is great, and I really don't want to see it go. You know how people shuffle. I don't like people who shuffle my cards wrong either, but that's a different story.
Uh, what is the right way for you? How do you prefer people to shuffle the cards if they're not sleeved?
If they're not sleeved, do the overhand, the shuffle.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Don't do the bridge.
Uh-huh.
I get on my girl all the time. My wife, she's like, just shuffle it like this. No, don't do it. She literally bought me an auto shuffler for Christmas.
Oh, really?
She
Nice.
did.
That's
Um,
great.
do you have any rules around your board game table of no drinks, no chips, no salsa?
No. I mean, at game night, people often we'll have a drink at game night, but I have little cup holders set around the table, so they hold the
Mhm.
drinks pretty well, prevent them from spilling. Really, I mean I wouldn't say I have any rules. The thing that I appreciate for people who attend game night is if they, I don't know, that they just be aware of the people around them and aware that the fun that everyone else is having. So if you're doing something that is causing other people not to have fun, just try to be aware of that. I try to do that myself. I try to find fun ways to encourage other people to realize that same thing. Is that a fair way of saying it? You
That's
get it?
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't set your sweaty Mountain Dew can on my card game table.
Exactly.
Oh man. Well, before I let you get out of here, do you want to plug your website, your YouTube channel, social
Sure.
medias where everybody can find you?
Yeah, I mean the hub for everything that we've talked about today is stillmeiergames.com. That there you can find the blog about crowdfunding and entrepreneurship. You can find links to our Instagram, our Facebook, and the YouTube channel about game design. If you're curious to hear at least one positive thing about every game that I've played, you can check out the YouTube channel.
Very cool. Very cool. We'll definitely tag you in this when it drops. And
Awesome.
again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Wes. I really appreciate it. Hope
Thank
you have
you,
a great
buddy.
day.
You too,
Yeah.
man. Bye.
Take care. Bye.